Hello, my name is James Mack with McCormick Systems, electrical estimating software. Today we're going to be taking you through how to maximize use of our digital takeoff software, electrical digital takeoff software, and really kind of show you some tips and tricks and what you can be doing to using the program to its full capabilities, and specifically the digital takeoff, what we call Design Estimating Pro. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about electrical digital takeoff. So let's go ahead and jump into that now. We're going to jump straight into the program, and specifically right straight to the takeoff and estimating portion of the program. So those of you that know McCormick, this will look super familiar. Very easy to get into here. We load up our prints, and really the program is going to come to you ready to do takeoff. So a couple of things we want to think about before we start doing any kind of counting or measuring on the drawing. So I'm gonna go ahead and minimize this here. I'm looking at basically this is what our database where we find all of our items in our assemblies here. So in order to kind of maximize the use of the digital takeoff software, there are things we can do in the program, before we even open up the prints to help us with that. And one of those things is taking advantage of a feature we call Workspaces. And whether you have McCormick or McCormick Pro, you're going to have this feature available to you. And what Workspaces are, they're a way to open up multiple instances of the database, right? And with that, you can point each of these windows or each of these instances, if you will, to specific groups of parts. So what this does is it puts a lot of, groups materials together that would make sense. So I'm about to do takeoff in a commercial setting, and I'm going to need commercial devices. I'm going to need EMT. I'm going to need wire, things like that. We're going to group all these things together so they become very, very easy to grab. We're going to do this takeoff digitally. Right, so by having these all grouped in one area, it's just grab and go. Rather than looking for one item at a time, searching through our menu for everything, we've already got these workspaces or shortcuts set up to do this takeoff very, very efficiently. Now, from a manual standpoint, we're clicking on an assembly and grabbing that and entering a quantity. Right, we click on the line item, and our quantity ends up down here in our audit trail. The same thing is going to be happening as we do these things on the actual drawing itself. So again, when we refer to digital takeoff, this is what we're talking about here. Drawings open on our at least one, maybe multiple monitors, depending on what your scenario is. And we're going to count and measure. Now, multiple screens is really the ideal way to go. You're going to grab something from your database, let's say duplexes, and we go to our drawing and we count on the screen. So very, very simple. By having those workspaces, those predetermined shortcuts there in our database, it makes it very, very easy to grab those. So McCormick is point and click, super easy to do this. There's nothing tricky about how any of this works. Now, when we talk about kind of being as efficient as possible in here, there's some different approaches that we could take. So as I count and measure, or count here, I guess I should say, in this case, it's just counting. I am counting duplexes. Of course, these are assemblies, so they're getting box, cover plate, ground screw, mud ring, box supports, the labor to install it, the pricing as we do our takeoff here. So very, very simple to do, obviously. When we take this approach, we now have to go in and run our intermediaries, our branch circuits from box to box, let's say. There's a way to do this without having to run all those individuals. So what you can do is set up an assembly in the database that has a linear tied to it. So basically what we're doing is we're combining two assemblies. I've got a duplex assembly, and I've got, let's say, 15 or 20 feet of MC cable. And what I can do is grab that particular assembly out of the database. So duplex 20 amp with 15 feet of 12.2 MC is the one I'm going to grab here. And when I count these, let me bring this up back on the screen here, it's actually going to get the MC cable with it. Okay, so I can just go in here. Now I don't need to run all those individual lines from box to box. And this also would work with your auto count. So going to my auto count tab here, let's just go ahead and define the rest of this area that we can count. I want to count all of these receptacles with MC cable, and then I could run my home runs afterwards. So what we can do is just draw a little box around this receptacle and identifying what we want the program to look for, and then we can set it up to start searching for that. So this is real time here. We are live. It's going through and scanning the prints. It's going to give us a list of results, which we can then review. I'm going to go ahead and hit check all. All right, so this is a quick way to just grab everything. You still want to filter through, make sure it didn't pick up anything we don't want. All right, and then we hit accept takeoff. Okay, so very fast and efficient way to count and measure everything on the screen. Not only did we count, we actually counted we accounted for the 15 feet of MC cable. So we're daisy chaining these all together without having to actually do the individual runs. And if I scroll up here, we can see our legend. Here's everything we've counted. All right. Now over here, I've got a box that I had counted previously. There's the duplexes that I had manually counted, there's the duplexes that we had counted via auto count. There's the ones I had manually counted. And then there's just a single branch run that we did. Now you can, and I can show you here in this case. Let's go ahead and zoom in on, this is just a regular receptacle. Now, if I wanted this to be a receptacle symbol, we could certainly change that. If I go down here and look at the ones I auto counted, I elected to put a little plus sign in there. That's really just an indicator. I've customized the symbol. It's just an indicator that there's something beyond just a duplex with that. All right, and of course, you could designate this whatever you like. By selecting this, double clicking it, it allows you to view and potentially change this. My text overlay is where that plus sign came from. If I wanted to say, plus MC cable, I'll just add that in here and hit OK. And now they say I'll plus MC. So it's really up to you how you set that up. Okay? But that is a way to count and measure at once. Now we can automate some of the linear process as well. And if I grab my EP button up here, that stands for endpoint, I can identify locations on the print. And I'm going to use, in this example, my endpoint is my panel. So this gives me the ability to run home runs automatically. Sometimes I'm just running a circuit to a J box or a pull box or something like that, or maybe a match line. So an endpoint doesn't necessarily have to be a home run in every single case, but I'm gonna go ahead and identify these here. So panel A and panel B. Okay, so we've got those identified. What this does, I don't need to run all those intermediaries anymore. I'm just working on my home runs. I can grab the assembly that I want, right click over here where I want to send that from, and identify where I want to send it to. So in this case, I've sent that back to panel A. Okay, could do the same thing with panel B. All right, right click. All right, panel B. You can also set up keyboard shortcuts to speed this process up as well. Okay, now this is a way to do automatic home runs. In this particular case, whether it's keyboard shortcut or the right click of the mouse, the program is picking the path for you. You may want to identify your own pathway. I think in most cases this is going to be true for estimators out there. Let's give this a name, pathway 1. All right, now we'll go ahead and close that out. I'm going to grab from my favorites list over here, and we're going to mark a couple of J boxes. In fact, let's just count them all here. So this is important thing to talk about here too. This is a favorites list. So this is another one of those ways you can kind of speed things up and make yourself more efficient with Design Estimating Pro, the digital takeoff. These favorites lists are something that our users will populate in a fashion that makes sense to the individual. Do you want to group devices together? Do you want to group branch together? More specifically, maybe we just want all MC cable. We want an MC cable shortcut. Maybe we want an EMT shortcut, PVC coated, galvanized, rigid, depending on the type of stuff that you guys use most often. But populate these lists with your most commonly used assemblies. This allows you to grab from here and count on the screen. So we basically can grab and go. All right, makes it very, very simple. This is sort of, I think of this as an extension of your database. We talked about the workspaces here, the shortcuts to help us, group our materials together. Really doing the same thing here. Just trying to make, navigating the digital takeoff portion of the program as easy as we possibly can. In the Pro version, we can create as many of these favorites lists as you want. To add items to our favorites list, let's say I want to put that 20 amp duplex in there with the 15 feet of MC cable. We just hit our edit button, okay? And then we can right click and we can add a new part, we can add a new header, whatever we would like to do here. Okay? So it's going to add whatever we have as an active part in this system, okay? Back to our routing path. I got kind of off track there. Let's get back on track here. I was talking about selecting an actual pathway where we can send home runs automatically. Okay, so what we can do, looking at this is calling for 3/4 with 3 number 6s in it. I have a shortcut set up, which again, it's going to be very useful to you and minimizing how much navigating or how much clicking we're doing through the menu here. But let's grab 3 number 6s with 3/4. Okay. What we would do now is select these, right click, right? And we're going to send those back to panel A. We're going to have it follow that pathway. So it's going to pick up the exact pathway that we laid out there. Right? At this point, we could go back and grab our hangers and racks. Okay, let's do 24 by 24. We'll do, this will have a 3/8 rod. By the way, with our assemblies, these of course can be changed, altered, updated, whatever you'd like to do, but this is going to have hanger bolts, lock washer, saddle washer. It's going to throw the labor in there to cut your all thread, to cut your unistred. Everything is going to be included there, and we just lay those out. Okay, whoop, I got to get out of edit mode. There we go, and we can start laying those out. Okay, so there's your racks there. All right, we can, rather than rotating one of these individually, I can actually lay all these out and rotate them at once if I want as well. So you have the ability to select all with things that you've taken off and either change the specs or move them, change the colors, et cetera, et cetera. So counting, measuring on the screen, we can automate using the auto count process. We can use the auto home run process. Again, talking about being as efficient as possible, set up your favorites list. I can't stress this enough. Populate these lists with the stuff that you're using most often. You've got thousands of assemblies in the database. How many are you really using on a daily basis? A few hundred. Let's populate our list with those few hundred and work straight from there. So then it just becomes a matter of grab and count. And those now are in my estimate. Everything I take off here is in my estimate. Right? Mistakes are always part of the process. Let's say I did not mean to take those off here. Very easy to delete those out. I can select them all at once, right click, and delete. Okay. Yes, okay. Now, just as it puts items in my estimate, when I count them on the screen, it will also take them out when I delete off of there, okay? Let's say I wanted to change out my boxes. Is there an easy way to change these out without having to go in here and individually select these and swap them out or maybe delete? Yeah, it definitely is. So what we could do here is let's go to one of my shortcut lists here again, and I'll just grab, I'm gonna kind of, well, I'll just search from my items. We'll make it simple. We'll go from one window here. We will go items. And as I work through this menu, you should start to see, okay, this is why shortcuts are important, right? If there's certain types of boxes that I use all the time, why am I spending my time navigating through here to grab, these boxes this way when I could have just set it all up in a shortcut? Okay, so let's say I do want to swap these boxes out. I don't have to do that one at a time. I can go to my filter tool, All right, look at my assemblies or my items, wherever I have those. I'm actually going to select those boxes. By clicking here, it actually selects all of those, all right? And what I can do at that point, all right, is right click and I can replace selected parts. I can replace all matching parts, whatever we'd like to do. In this case, I will do selected parts. But there's a way to swap out material after you've taken it off. I could have also done that one at a time just by selecting that individual item. Okay, so some different ways to just kind of speed up editing in the system as well. Okay. So if I go into my drawing tools, let's hit that next. Clouds, callouts, things like that. So how can we use the drawings beyond just estimating? Are they useful for change orders? Yeah, so here's a good way to, let's just create a quick cloud here. Maybe I'm putting a change order together, or maybe I'm submitting this for approval. I've been asked to add a switch by a doorway over here. So we'll grab an arrow, all right. All right, rather than just taking someone's word for it, let's draw an arrow in here. Maybe we'll add a switch in here. We want to customize that symbol. We can click on it and change that to an actual switch. We of course have the option of changing one at a time, or we can change all of them. In this case, I'm just going to do one. Okay. What we could do now is screenshot this, hand it to the super, get a signature. All right, now we've got a approval on this. Maybe it's already been approved. I'm submitting my invoice for this particular change order rather than just submitting a document saying, okay, added switch at Office B. I now have a visual representation of that to back up the change order that I've sent in. Okay? So your drawing tools can be very useful when it comes to that. We can do basic architectural drawing in here. We're not an architectural drawing program per se, but there are certainly things that you can do in here. You have your line tools that you can access and select from predetermined settings in here, or you can create your own custom settings in here as well. Let's go ahead and do a little drawing here. So I've grabbed my line and we're just laying this out here. Break that line by double clicking. We'll pick it back up. I like to use the crosshairs when I'm designing, just kind of keeps everything nice and tidy here. If I want to double wall that, just to have it represented, as similar as possible to the existing print, we could certainly do that. Double click to end that. Okay. Turn our crosshairs off there. All right. If I go into our markers, some of you may already have this if you're using the program. If not, there's a way to set up essentially a whiteout. So it's just a highlighter. So you go to your markers tab. You're going to select any of these buttons. All right. You would set that as a highlighter. Right. You can adjust the color of that here. Right. Of course, we're just going to leave it white. Right. And then we save that preset. All right. Now I've got a way to edit my PDF. So if I want to blow out a wall here, we can make that go away. Okay. At this point, maybe I'm doing some design work. We'll go in here and count some duplexes. These are also going to have that MC cable attached to it as well. Great thing about using McCormick and designing with McCormick is that when you do that, it's estimating for you as you go. So there's the 6 duplexes with the 15 feet of 12.2 MC right there. So if you are working with just an architectural drawing, a floor plan, no electrical in there, laying it out yourself, again, we're still doing the same thing. All right, so a little bit more than just counting and measuring in here. So this was really designed to be just a quick kind of tips and tricks kind of session, show you some things that maybe you haven't been using in the system. Think about any questions that you may have. You can go ahead and throw those in the chat over there if you do have any. I'm just going to touch on a couple more things here. If we go into our preferences, there's different things we can kind of dial in to fit our particular needs in here. All right, so if you click into your file button, then go to your preferences, and then just work down through these tabs. Here's your keyboard shortcuts that you can set up. A lot of people don't know about these. Mouse shortcuts, if you've used another program and sort of want similar feel and features and mouse functions, you can alter ours. Let's go into the display one. If you want to display part name on length takeoff, you can do that. You want to display the distance, so you want to actually see how that run is, how long that run is, just check that box. The display part name is useful whether you're using permanent assemblies or temporary assemblies. If you want to label your home runs, this is a great thing to utilize here. But when I do turn that on, anything that I take off here, so let's just zoom in, take that off. All right, we see that that is 2 number 12s, 3/4 inch EMT, steel set screw. In this case, we also see that I set it to, or I have it preset to auto drop, and that's done in your drop section up here. So if I have auto start and auto end checked, it's automatically going to put those drops in. Let's do that same piece of takeoff without those selected, right? And it's just putting the run in. To manually add your drops, you could right click, add drop to start, add drop to end, and you can add a drop anywhere along the run as well. Okay. Okay. So we went through marker setup. We went through compare drawing, or actually we didn't touch on compare drawings. This is one of those things that you're going to use really for a couple different scenarios. Number one, let's say you've received in a revised drawing in E1, that first rev of E1, I'm going to overlay the new one over the top of the old one just to see what that, what changes, what's different between the two sheets. And we can play with the colors of these as well if we want to, see the, a little bit more contrast from sheet to sheet. We can do that by using our overlay. Okay, so there's your bottom drawing. All right. All right, and then just by checking the box, we can turn on another drawing here. I want to put a lighting over the top of that. We could add that in there if we wanted to as well. Okay, there's your lighting. I can of course move that, place that wherever we want. By changing the colors, it's going to give you some contrast between the two drawings. All right, let's set that back to the original. Went over the auto count and kind of touched on the drawing tools there as well. So I think, if you're using the digital takeoff in the best way possible, favorites list is probably the most bang for your buck. Build those up and drop those in. If you need help with setting those up, that's certainly call tech support. If you're not currently a McCormick user, we can certainly get a demo scheduled for you to run you through that. All right. Your favorites manager will be found up here in your tools section. So right now I just have one of those, but if I want to create a new favorites list, we would just hit our add button and then build a new category in here. I could just give that a name, we add it, and now I've got a new one that I can populate. All right. Again, if we get into edit mode, it will populate that with whatever your current part is. All right, add part. So I was currently on telephone. It added telephone into my favorites list. Okay. So with that, I will open that up to any questions that anyone has. At the end here, I'll put my name and email back up on the screen in case you want to reach out for a web demonstration. I don't think we've got any questions at this point. Let me go ahead and bring that up. See if we can pull that one back up here. All right, let's see if I can, there we go. Let's get to the next one here. All right, so again, my name is James, McCormick Systems. There's our phone number, there's my email. Feel free to reach out if you would like a more comprehensive demo. Either Patrick, if you're a current user, Patrick McCormick can help you with that. If you are looking at McCormick for the first time, I can help you out with a start to finish demo. Again, today was really more about kind of tips and tricks and how to maximize, the digital takeoff through Workspaces, through your shortcuts, how to make changes, swapping materials out, things like that. Well, I thank all of you for joining today. Again, feel free to reach out directly to me if you do have any questions.